Hey Reddit, so you may or may not have seen the new post by Shackle, who's found the PTS files and shit and told us about it. There's now new weapons in the PTS, and they're Sunderer Weapons, so I'm extremely interested in them. And I'm already got one pulled on TR, and ta-da! It's the first one and it's glitched. The model's glitched, but it is the MR12 Siegebreaker? Yes, the MR12 Siegebreaker. So, Siegebreaker, it's basically a burst gatekeeper, as you can see by the description. Fairly good stats, actually. 146 RPM, 180 damage, 120 direct damage. Direct damage, that's nothing. Muzzle velocity is 200. That's the big killer here. It does not accelerate either. But that being said, it's quite interesting. I'll get into that later. 16 rounds in the chamber, and it fires 4 at a time, as indicated by the 4 barrels. This weapon is pretty cool. Is very effective at long range, and I have the TTKs against a regular old Sundy. Against a full health Sundy, I think this one was injured. Its time to kill is like 13.66 seconds or something like that. It's very, very, very fast. Very good weapon. It's only one of them. These weapons, there's only going to be they're only going to be available on the rear of the Sundy. So the front is going to have a different weapon, whatever you choose, an NS weapon. Doesn't matter. But this is only capable of being used on the back. Also, if you haven't noticed already, it's incredibly glitched. This is the only one that's like super glitched. But that being said, I can't really tell. The drop seems pretty akin to a gatekeeper, except without the velocity. However, you'll find out in a little bit that this one actually has the best time to kill stats of the 3. It's very interesting. I don't really want to. I know a lot of people are like, oh, I want to see the gun being fired, but honestly, with how bugged it is right now, I'm just going to move on to the next one, which is going to be the NC, the Paladin railgun. So let's head on over. The Paladin railgun is interesting to say the least. These are obviously not finished, so I will avoid giving my personal opinion on all these right now. I'll leave that up for Reddit to deliberate, obviously, because these things, the difference in them is quite huge. As you can see, there it is. There's the railgun. It uses the Vanguard railgun model that was teased by Higbee a long time ago and then never did anything with it. GG Higbee. As you can see, it's also bugged right here. But it's also got another very annoying bug where you can either have reload speed or you can have an optics. So for optimal performance, I'm going to put on the reload speed to show it. As you can see, 60 RPM, so basically a enforcer. 440 direct damage, 200 indirect damage, 620 meters a second. And at 1.6 seconds reload speed. There is no cone of fire on this thing. There's a delay when it fires, as you can see from the description. After a short charge up, decimating long-range vehicles with ease. It does have a considerable amount of drop, however, this weapon is, for vehicle targets, it's borderline hit scan. There's no real, as long as you can track the target, there's no real leading necessary horizontal. It's really only vertical leading. And against a stock Sunderer, it'll kill it in approximately 19.2 seconds. And there's three in the clip, and then you have to reload, but it reloads pretty much instantly. It is automatic, so you can hold it down. As you can see, it does a good chunk of damage. However, its TTK comparatively is pretty low. Severely limited by the clip size, it seems. The consistency is meh when you still have bullets in the clip, but there's no way in hell you can keep up the pace with this thing. Not for very long, at least. So against a Sundy, it takes about 2.5 clips and 20 seconds. This one's already injured, but might be able to kill him too. This one's the most straightforward, but I think this is also the one I'm most worried about in terms of balance. for obvious reasons. If any of you know of a similar weapon that got nerfed recently with similar designs, cough, 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 cough. But other than that, these are not out of PTS yet, and they're definitely going to go through revisions. So there's not much really else to show here. I wish optics worked, because it takes off reload speed, which is interesting. Reload speed only reduces the weapon's reload by 10%, meaning it goes down to like 1.5 seconds, basically, reload. So yeah, that is the Paladin railgun. The next one is the Aurora laser on VS. The Aurora laser is the most radical one of the bunch. It is the one that is arguably the spawning bug. It's the one that's the most interesting, I think, but it's also the one that's kind of the most linear, I'd say, if that's a word to describe it. Here's the Aurora. It's got a model. Fires 2 light rail beam projectiles with each trigger press, so it's like a tank buster. One click will fire 2 projectiles, inflicting moderate damage to armored targets at a respectable distance. It's a VS weapon, and it's a laser. It has no bullet drop. And its cone of fire is very tight. Think Saron, but it never blooms. Doesn't fire as fast as the Saron, though. Not nearly. 100 RPM. So a little less than 2 rounds per, or 2 trigger pulls per second. 95 direct damage. And you're going to see why. Because it's effectively doing twice that. Each one is doing 95 damage, so it's effectively doing 190 damage. 100 indirect damage, but that's not the main selling point of this weapon. 325 meters a second muzzle velocity, which is pretty good considering the thing does not have bullet drop. 2.0 seconds reload time, and 10 magazine ammunition. This is rivals this one between the 3, and I'm going to pull it and I'm going to fire it here in a second. But between the 3, the NC1 definitely takes the cake for long range ease of use, but it does not. It doesn't have consistency. Well, it has consistency. It doesn't have sustainability is the word I was looking for. That is definitely something the NC's one lacks. This one and the TR's one have much greater consistency, but the Vanu's ones trades DPS, which the TR's has, for ranged potential. It has no bullet drop, and it has incredibly tight, as you can see. Just weapon. This thing's TTK against a stock Sunderer is 20 seconds flat-ish, about 20 seconds. So it's the slowest of the 3, but it's also the ones that can be spammed out to range the easiest. So it is automatic, and as you can see, it fires 2 projectiles a second. It doesn't help that I'm getting friendly fire hit markers. Hang on one sec. Oh, we're in the Vanu. So I did not change my color coding ID. For those wondering if it doesn't actually have bullet drop, firing at that tree over there. It doesn't have acceleration, but it doesn't, and also it doesn't have bullet drop. That's why it's somewhat slow. These are not out of PTS, so I think it's important to have a healthy discussion. I think in its current state, whatever it is, it's going to change. I think in its current state, the NC's one is best at range, but the TR's one is will be best in general combat due to its ability to be spammed, since you can close the distance with it. And I think this one is going to be the most annoying, I think, since it's really just, you know, a basilisk with fucking no bullet drop and consistency. The limiting factor on this is that you can only get one. Again, these are only available on the rear of the Sundy, and I think that's what's going to keep them in check a little bit. And other than that, these aren't off of PTS, but you will see them either soon or scrapped. I'm personally excited for the Gatekeeper. It is the most it seems the most interesting since it's basically rocket artillery. And also, out of PTS are weaker versions of the Hyena and the Pelter rocket pods, which is ironic. It takes skill to make the rocket pod Pelters weaker for the Galaxy. They're incredibly bugged. The Hyena missile launcher, yeah, it looks like that when you put it on a turret, and the Pelters are actually equipped upside down, which is funny, but they're there. They're just an alternative to what the what's currently available. Or weaker variants of the Liberator and whatchamacallits, respectively. So, yep. Alright guys, test it out on PTS if you want. Other than that, I am out. See ya.